The 1980s gave birth to a lot of toy ideas that moved on to cartoons and are still alive and kicking in some form today. One that rose, fell, and then rose again starred the most powerful man in the universe. Today we are going to take a look at He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to Geek Trivia. So in the late 70s, everyone was jumping on the idea of action figure toys for kids. The success of Star Wars, and more importantly in this case, the toy line, made it clear that kids wanted these types of toys, and Mattel was very keen on getting into that line of business. Roger Sweet was a toy designer for Mattel, and realized that simplicity was very key to any toy line. He decided that to sell his idea, he would need a 3D model and a big one. He took a pre-existing figure, posed him in an action pose, and added a lot of clay to the body. Now this was all done in 1980, which helps dispel the rumor that He-Man was based on Conan the Barbarian film of 1982. The toys actually went into production in 1981, and then started marketing in 1982. So while the actual sales were probably helped out by the Conan movie starring Schwarzenegger, they were already being made before the film was released. The line of He-Man toys did something unique to help gain appeal. Each toy was released with a small illustrated book which helped tell the background of the characters. He-Man was a barbarian from a tribe of planet Eternia, which was dealing with the aftermath of the Great Wars. There were advanced machinery and weapons, but very few people knew how to use them. So the majority of the weapons used were much older and more basic. He-Man possessed one half of the Sword of Power. That's right. Originally, the power sword that he is most famous for was split in two, with the other half being possessed by Skeletor. When joined together, the two halves became the key to the Castle Grayskull. Now later, in 1983, the toy line became a cartoon series, and the story of He-Man and Eternia was changed drastically. He-Man became the alternate identity of Prince Adam of Eternia, son of King Randor, and his earthling wife, Queen Marlena. By holding up the sword and saying a specific line, he was able to transform into He-Man. And also, his cowardly pet tiger turned into Battle Cat. There were a lot of other characters added to the line as they were developed in the cartoon series, including, eventually, his twin sister, Adora, who was able to become She-Ra. This introduced even more heroes and villains, and a spin-off series starring She-Ra. Both series took the time at the end of each show to teach a lesson to the children watching, which was very commonly used idea in 80s cartoons. Now, in 1987, as was also common in the 80s, they decided to make a live-action movie starring Dolph Lundgren. The movie was based more on the original toy line idea than the cartoon series, so it was darker and more violent, and explains why He-Man never transforms into Adam. It was such a change from what kids and parents were used to that it is generally viewed as being a very poor adaptation, and opinions of the film tend to be quite heated. An interesting point of the cartoon series: did you know that Orko was originally named Gorpo, but was changed so that the emblem on his shirt would be an O? Therefore, they could reuse some already drawn sequences and just give them a horizontal flip. That was a very common technique used heavily in 80s cartoons to keep production costs down. You can see it in a lot of other cases of reused sequences in the original series. Most of the time, they had very generic 1 or 2 color backgrounds. A prime example is every time He-Man walks up and punches someone. The animation used is almost always the same. So, simplistic, often symmetrical designs of cartoon characters' clothing was not so much laziness, but as an attempt to keep the production costs down. Even outside of the cartoon, the toy line kept developing and adding new characters, new armor designs, and even new mini-comics to entertain the children. Some of these included the battle armor, which was designed with a rolling chest piece, so that when a character was hit in the chest, it would shift to show damage. As well as the Thunder Punch He-Man, which had a backpack for cap rings that would pop when the character was twisted past a certain point. Since the original series, there have been 2 different series, one in 1990, which was an attempt to revive the series and toy line. The idea was that He-Man followed Skeletor into space, and that they were battling for a planet called Primus. This was a very strange choice and did not seem to go well. The power of He-Man was created to defend the planet Eternia, so it's doubtful that the sword would work on another planet. In 2002, the series was rebooted. The origin of Adam obtaining the sword power and becoming He-Man was retold. The 2 characters were designed to look very different from one another, thus making his secret identity much more believable. They also tie in the original story from the toy line, stating that Adam is the descendant of King Grayskull, a very powerful barbarian. King Grayskull sacrificed his life to save Eternia, and it is his powers that Adam uses to turn into He-Man. This is done primarily to add meaning to the phrase, by the power of Grayskull. So that's all the time we have to talk about the most powerful man in the universe. What do you think about He-Man and his friends? What did you learn about the Guardians of Eternia? What did we miss? Please, leave a comment down below and let us know. As always, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio! Traveled gentlemen, I've decided that it's time to give you a gentleman's perspective on the world.
Okay, that was kind of cool.